Just wanted to talk, that's all.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back. Could be the final night that the Yankees are the defending American League champions. We got the Mariners versus the Blue Jays in about an hour. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Munetaka Murakami, which I'm going to butcher his name a bunch of times, I'm sure, who has been brought up as a potential target for the Yankees. He was posted by his team in Japan. And this is a guy who has crazy power. Just crazy power. As a left-handed hitter in Yankee Stadium, he could be dangerous. The other night, I was sitting by the fire, and I was kind of decompressing from a tough week, and the Dodgers and Brewers were playing. And I kept getting notifications that Shohei Ohtani was striking guys out, hitting home runs. He was just absolutely dominating. And I was drawn back to that winter when the Yankees were trying to get him. And he was the big talk of the winter. He ended up going to the Angels, of all teams. And, history could have been different. Not that I'm bitter or anything like that. I mean, he's just amazing. This winter, you're going to hear a lot about Munetaka Murakami, who has officially been posted by the Swallows of the Nippon Professional Baseball League of Japan. He is just 25 years old, and he could be just entering his prime, which is crazy to think because he's already got 2 MVPs in the Central League. He's already won a Triple Crown. He set the Japanese home run record with 56 in the season. He broke the record held by Sadaharu Oh, which was, a national treasure of a record in Japan. I mean, that was a big deal when he hit 56 home runs back in 2022. He also hit 318 that year with 134 RBIs. And at 6'2", 214 pounds, he's definitely got the size to play Major League Baseball. He's already got 224. No, more than that. He's got 246 career home runs in the Nippon Professional Baseball League. 246. And he played in the World Baseball Classic. Yankees got a good look at him. He hit a home run off of Merrill Kelly. He had a big hit against Mexico. And I'll get to who he is as a player in just a minute. But first, I just want to take a minute to talk about, the transition from Japanese to American baseball. Because as you can see, there are hits and there are misses. There are beasts and there are busts. And I thought it would be kind of interesting to take a little stroll down memory lane and, see who worked out, see who didn't. The Japanese style of baseball is super fun to me. They're about getting the run in. They're about athleticism. Not always about hitting the home run. You see lots of bunting. You see lots of stealing bases. You see lots of traditional baseball strategy. But Murakami definitely plays more of an American-style game. He strikes out a ton. He hits for a ton of power. He gets on base. He doesn't play defense all that well. Japanese players bring a lot of excitement. There's the factor of the unknown. We've never seen this guy play. How will it translate to Major League Baseball? And it's been much more exciting since Ichiro came over and as kind of an unexpected unexpected is the wrong word. He was not anticipated to be as good as he was in the major leagues. And then he goes out his rookie year, he wins the MVP, he wins a batting title, he steals 50 bases. He has a rocket for an arm. He becomes a Hall of Famer. And he's one of my favorite Yankees. But before that, there had been Hideo Nomo, who had some success with the Dodgers. Hideki Irabu came to the Yankees. Those of you who remember the mid-'90s Yankees will definitely remember Hideki Irabu. The Yankees actually traded Ruben Rivera, who was a top prospect at the time. He was Mariano Rivera's cousin. And he actually looked really good in 96 in a cup of coffee, to San Diego for the rights to negotiate with Irabu. And then they signed Irabu for, I believe it was $12 million. Isn't that the line from Seinfeld? How could you spend $12 million on Hideki Irabu? You don't know what you're doing. But he was not meant for New York. Like this was a guy who smoked cigarettes while he was warming up. He was not in the greatest shape, and he never lived up to the hype. He didn't really throw 100 miles an hour as advertised. He was supposed to be the Japanese Nolan Ryan. He became, more, Japanese, average pitcher. Just 94 miles an hour down the middle, straight as an arrow. And you got Hideki Matsui, obviously the other end of the spectrum. Prolific home run hitter in Japan, coming off of 50 home runs in his final season with Yomiuri. And then he had only 16 home runs with the Yankees because he wasn't used to the two-seam fastball. He was nicknamed Godzilla. And in his first couple of months in the major leagues, I remember seeing headlines in the papers that called him Groundzilla because of how many ground balls he was hitting. So as you can see from this list, there are some beasts and there are some busts. Obviously, the beasts include Ichiro, Shohei, Matsui, Masahiro Tanaka. Yoshinobu Yamamoto's been great. Seiya Suzuki has gotten better. He didn't get off to the greatest start, but he had 27 home runs this year. Hiroki Kuroda had some fine years, especially with the Yankees, and Kodai Senga has looked good with the Mets when healthy. But there have been busts. Igawa, Irabu, Nishioka, Kaz Matsui, Kosuke Fukudome, Akinori Iwamura. I'm struggling with that one. But those of you who remember the 90s might also remember another one. And I'll give you a hint. The Dennis Rodman of Japan is what he was nicknamed. He had orange hair. His name was Kazuhiro Maeda. He apparently threw 98 miles an hour. But that turned out to be another thing that, you pump this guy's velocity up in rumors, right, overseas, and then he comes to America and he just didn't have it. He was more 92 to 94. He spent his entire career in the minor leagues with the Yankees, and he had a 4.69 ERA, so he was not good. And then there were busts like Igawa, who the Yankees signed to counteract Daisuke Matsuzaka, who was supposed to be like the next big thing, and he never really panned out. I mean, he had some good years with Boston, but he wasn't what they anticipated. He had trouble going more than 5 innings, which now makes you a pretty good pitcher, I guess. But he went 18-3 one year. But Igawa, I don't even really want to get into him because he was so bad. The guy pitched a major league game with sunglasses on. I've never seen another pitcher do that. You just don't pitch with sunglasses on. Anyway, what's interesting about Murakami is that, we haven't seen a lot of offensive players come to the major leagues and have a ton of success. Typically, if you strike out a lot, your strikeout rate goes up. Your walk rate goes down. That's what studies have shown, But, guys can make the adjustment if they get over early enough. Ohtani has had back-to-back 50 home run seasons. He just had the 3 home run game, and then, there are guys who just don't get it done. So I feel like it's very, very risky to bring over Murakami. But let's talk about who he is as a player, because this is a guy who has massive, massive power. He turns 26 in February. Again, 2-time Central League MVP, 4-time NPB All-Star, 2022 Triple Crown, 56 home runs, 180 strikeouts, though, in 2024. 69 games this year, 24 home runs, 71 strikeouts. Basically, he had a Giancarlo Stanton type of swing. He or type of season. He had some nagging injuries. He had like an oblique strain. He had a couple things that wore him down, so he didn't get to play as much. But massive power when he was in there. And if you look at his career, every year, 140-plus games played. So I'm not concerned about the injuries. I don't think that's going to be what brings him down in the major leagues. I think it's going to be the strikeouts. 71 strikeouts and 220 at-bats, 263 plate appearances this year. It's hard to imagine his strikeout numbers going down when the trend is that most Japanese players, when they come to America, the strikeout numbers go up. And that happens for pitchers, too. They strike out more guys. We're more focused on the strikeouts here in America. Anyway, 24 home runs in 220 at-bats. Obviously a ton of power. 52 RBIs. But this is a guy who doesn't really have a great position. He's played third base. He's not good defensively at third base. Over the last 3 years, negative 48 runs saved. And then, if you bring him into the Yankees, I'm not sure there's a spot for him because he's probably a DH/first base. If you want to put him at first base, you got some issues there because he's blocked. You got Ben Rice, possibly. You've got, the potential of Cody Bellinger coming back and playing first base. So I'm just not sure that he's the best fit for the Yankees. Like just roster-wise. For a roster that's trying to get more athletic, trying to strike out less. I get that the power is enticing. I get that. But if you look at all the domino effects that would have to happen, right? If you bring him in and he plays first base, that means you got to move Ben Rice back to catcher, which means that Austin Wells gets displaced. Now, we did get a call about that, and I'll play that in just a minute. If you bring Cody Bellinger back to play first base and you play Spencer Jones in center and Ben Rice catches, same problem exists, right? You can't bring him in to play third base. You got Ryan McMahon, who's a defensive whiz over there. The Yankees saw what he can do, how he can change a game defensively in the postseason. He played great over there. Oswaldo Cabrera's coming back. He's not going to really have a ton of mobility to play short, I don't think. So I know some people have penciled him as the shortstop if Volpe's out. But I think Cabrera at third base makes a lot of sense. Maybe he can play short. I don't know. We'll see how bad that ankle was. After Jeter came back from his ankle injury, I mean, his range was already not good, but it got worse. And then at DH, you got Giancarlo Stanton. And as long as he's on the roster, you're not going to replace him. I mean, he's a guy who can't really play the outfield. We saw him play the outfield a little bit this year. It was a disaster show. And they're going to want to keep DH at-bats for Aaron Judge because they're not going to want him throwing. And then Ben Rice, obviously, going to get his at-bats at DH. So I just don't think that there is a clear fit for Murakami. Anyway, I see the power potential. I know that a lot of Yankees fans are super excited about the guy, but I want to take some comments and see how my audience is feeling. Mary Beth says, great pronunciations. I'm sure that I butchered pretty much 80% of those names, so, my bad. I'm sure that was... Anyway, the save situation says, I'd be happy with the third base of Ryan Cabrera or Oswaldo McMahon. Just a platoon situation. I think so, too. The only issue is that Oswaldo Cabrera's kind of got the same situation as Jason Dominguez, where he doesn't swing the bat as well from the right side of the plate. Swing path isn't great now. It's, I think, better than Dominguez at this point. And certainly better than what you get out of McMahon from the right side, or against lefties. But I'm interested in seeing what role Oswaldo plays when he comes back. I think he's shown some good things. He's never had the OPS numbers that the Yankees go crazy over, but he seems to be a guy who gets big hits. So I'm curious to see what happens there. We got a call here about Murakami. Let me go ahead and play it.
Hey, buddy, what's up? It's Ray. I think we got to go full stop Murakami. I think it's the best move. I think he's the youngest option there, and I think he's got the best power. We need that big power lefty bat that's young that we can have long term and not keep going from vet to vet to vet to vet. I think that makes Ben Rice the starting catcher. Austin Wells can go. And then we either maybe get a veteran like a Real Muto that's willing to still maybe play backup or split time. That'd be great. But I don't think that you can get Murakami if you're not going to have Ben Rice play every single day as a catcher. Otherwise, I'd rather have Ben Rice at first base and then go get Real Muto to catch every day. And then figure out maybe then it allows us to keep Austin Wells that way.
So here's the deal. I love the call. If you sign Murakami, Rice becomes your everyday catcher. Full stop. But Real Muto as a right-handed option, I don't hate that if you're able to trade Austin Wells. And I think that Austin Wells does have some trade value. He's young. He's a good framer. He's got some pop. I hated his at bat in the final game of the division series with the bases loaded. But I just don't think that the Yankees are going to disrupt the team that much. It makes more sense to me. Just play Ben Rice at first base. Catch Austin Wells. If you want to get a backup catcher who hits right-handed, fine. Do that. But I think that you got to pass on Murakami. That is my verdict. All right, so let's talk about Fox 1, the sponsors of tonight's podcast. And it is now the only place that you can watch actually, you can watch it on TV, but the final AL playoff games. You got the Mariners and the Blue Jays, and there might only be one more game, but you will be able to watch the World Series on Fox 1 as well. Fox 1 is now live. Stream all your favorites together in one place. I've had a bit of a stressful time lately, so I was, sitting out back the other day, and I missed the games, but I was able to come back in, watch the replay on Fox 1, and guys, the playoffs this year have been incredible. I'm hoping that the Mariners not only close out the Blue Jays tonight, but that they take down the Dodgers too, because that would be epic to see them win their first World Series as the underdog. Something about the way the Blue Jays celebrated just rubbed a lot of us the wrong way. From MLB postseason to NFL on Fox to big noon Saturdays with Fox 1, you get it all live. Start your 7-day free trial today. Offers are subject to change. Go to fox1.com for complete terms and conditions. Fox 1 streaming now. And by the way, Mariners beating the Dodgers would be one of the all-time upsets. And I kind of want to see an all-time upset this year. I kind of want to see that. All right, let's finish off the night. Later this week, the plan is to have Ryan Garcia on from Fireside Yankees. We're going to debate Bellinger versus Tucker. We're going to talk about the top prospects for 2026 to watch, general state of the Yankees type of thing. Also, I want to take a minute real quick to remember Jesus Montero. You may have heard, and I got a voicemail about this that I'll play. Jesus Montero, former Yankee prospect, passed away today at age 35. He was traded for Michael Pineda, but he was electric when he first came up. Apparently, he had a motorcycle accident. This one genuinely made me sad. I'm only 7 years older than Jesus Montero. I watched him all the way through the minor leagues. I saw him play in Scranton. And obviously, his first 2 home runs against the Orioles was electric. One of my more fun memories watching baseball. He had such immense opposite field power that you just figured that, if he stayed a Yankee, he was going to become a star. But they traded him for Pineda. Never worked out for Montero. Pineda had the shoulder injury, was never quite the same. But you feel like a guy with that level of immense talent, sky was the limit for him. He could have still been playing. He's 35 years old. I mean, he could have literally been on the ALCS roster right now, probably as the backup to Cal Raleigh, if the universe had played out a little bit differently. So 35, way too young. Rest in peace, Mr. Montero. We got a call from Kevin about it.
Derek, Kevin, I don't know if you heard, but I just seen a report from ESPN that Jesus Montero died in a motorcycle crash, man. That sucks really bad. Damn, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you say? Gone too soon. And, unfortunately, I've got some experience with motorcycle crashes. A good friend of mine that I threw a combined no-hitter with in high school died on a motorcycle. It's why I don't get on motorcycles. Growing up, we were in nursing homes a lot because my uncle was very sick. And there were a lot of head injuries there from people who had motorcycle accidents. And that just scared me off of ever wanting to be on a motorcycle. So anyway, rest in peace to Jesus Montero. Final verdict on Murakami is a hard no from me. But we'll see what the Yankees choose to do. Again, I'll be back later this week with Ryan Garcia. So tune in for that. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out nydesigns.shop and check out pinstripeterritoryshop.com to get official swag for this podcast. I just realized I had my URL messed up. I got to fix that. Anyway, catch you later this week, guys. Let's hope the Mariners finish off the Jays tonight. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this content, please hit that like button and subscribe. Check out nydesigns.shop for some great merch. Support our sponsors. It helps keep the show going. And you can find us on all major audio platforms, so be sure to subscribe there too. But most importantly, come back again soon. We'll see you next time.